Welcome back and Jai Hind everyone. Previously, already I have started the chapter otherwise known as International Organization. Already I talk about the origin of United Nations Organization, formation of the League of Nations, failure of the League of Nations, why the League of Nations failed, and why there was a need for an international organization like United Nations Organization. All these things already being discussed in my previous modules. Also already I discussed about the evolution of United Nations Organization. United Nations Organization start कैसे हुआ? In the post Second World War era में United Nations Organization start होता है 1945 and which continuing till date. And the very objective of the formation of the United Nations Organization was to maintain peaceful coexistence across the world and to avert the Third World War, so that the organization was being formed in the post Second World War scenario. Right? So all the things being discussed in detail. Apart from that, you know it very well that United Nations Organization is otherwise known as the World Government, and the earlier international organization was otherwise known as the League of Nations, but the League of Nations failed, and from that failure we learn what were the inheritance defects of the League of Nations, so that can be rectified in the Charter of United Nations Organization, and hopefully that the organizations will continue for another a few decades, you can say hundreds of years, till the existence of the human civilization, and will be able to stop the world wars and to maintain its basic objective, which is already enshrined in the UN Charter. So already also in the previous modules I discussed about the organs of United Nations Organization. There are 6 important organs: the General Assembly, otherwise known as the World Parliament, the Security Council, Economic and Social Council, Trusteeship Council, International Court of Justice, right? So these are all the organizations I discuss about. International Court of Justice, and what is left? We discuss about almost all the organs, right? Just a minute. Right. Apart from that, you must remember that while I was talking about ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council, right? Sorry. And the sixth organ which I forgot to tell, that was the Secretariat. And also I discussed in details about the Secretary Generals. In Economic and Social Council, I was talking about the role of a few agencies. So apart from these organs, United Nations Organizations also having a few agencies, and those agencies are working for economic and social development of the world. So today I am going to discuss what are the agencies. So many agencies are there, out of which more than 30 agencies there, out of which I am going to only discuss a few important agencies, right? So let's go for that. So the UN significant agencies, the first and the foremost are the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. At the international level oversees financial institutions and regulations. It consisting of 180 members. Out of them, G8 members enjoy more power. Who are those G8 members? Because these G8 members, the group of 8 countries members, they even invest a lot in International Monetary Fund. उसका जो funding भी, contribution भी सबसे ज़्यादा G8 members देता है. That's why they are also having the more power. And who are those G8 members? United States of America, Japan, Germany, France, the United Kingdom, Italy, Canada, and Russia. Right? Except China and Saudi Arabia. China and Saudi Arabia also the members of G8, but both of them have not enjoyed the greater autonomy. The US alone enjoy about 16.75 voting rights. If you can talk about the voting powers and the other rights, you can say United States of America alone can enjoy about 16.75% of the voting rights in International Monetary Fund. Another organization is known as World Bank. Like you are having the nationalized bank and the private bank which is operated in India, or the foreign banks which operate in India. Similarly, you are also having the World Bank. If any of the country there, suppose what the banks do, the banks take deposits and give loans. Very simple. So if I wanted to take any loan, any types of loan can be a retail loan, loan can be a corporate loan, any loan. Suppose I want to take a loan, an educational loan, or you can say the loan for home loan, then to whom I'm going to approach? I'm going to approach a nationalized bank or the private banks of India, and from which I'll be getting the loan. Similarly, if I wanted to deposit my surplus amount, I have to take the help of any of the bank and deposit my money, and I'll be getting the interest for that. In the World Bank also, all those countries across the world, they deposit their surplus money over there, and the bank gives as a loan to all those countries, those who wanted to ask for the loan at a nominal rate of interest, and also sometimes with subsidies. So the World Bank, it was created in the year 1944. With the formation of United Nations organizations, the World Bank also came into existence. It works for the human development, agriculture and rural development, environmental protections. So what exactly the World Bank give loans for? It gives loans for the human development. Under human development, it comes educations, it comes health sectors, right? Unemployment, poverty, everything which comes under the human development, literacy, educations, everything. Agriculture and rural development, environmental protections, infrastructure, governance, and provide loans and other grant to the developing nation also when and where required. It is criticized for setting the economic agenda of the poorer nations, attaching the stringent conditions to the loan and forcing free market economy. The next and very important organ, that's known as World Trade Organizations, right? What that organization? The organization is named as World Trade Organizations, and more or less already you read about World Trade Organizations, which formed in the year 1995. Before the formation of the World Trade Organizations, this particular organization was known as GATT, G-A-T-T, General Agreement of Tariff and Trade and Tariff. So the World Trade Organizations, an international organization to set the rules for the global trade, which was set up in the 1995 as a successor of General Agreement of Trade and Tariff, GATT. It has 157 members as of September 2012. After that, so many other members also joined. The major economic powers such as US, Economic Union, Japan have managed to use WTO to frame rules of trade to advance their own interest. See, in each and every organization's might is right. Powerful countries, always they are having more rights. So the developing countries often complain of non-transparent procedure and being pushed around by the big powers, because the big powers, they contributed lots towards the UN economic development or to UN in terms of the funds and the aids. That's why usually they are having little bit greater autonomy or power. The next organization is IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. It was established in the year 1957 to implement US President's rights Eisenhower's Atoms of Peace proposal. It seeks to promote the peaceful use of nuclear energy and to prevent its use for military purpose. It's played a very significant role you can say in disarmaments और nuclear race को रोकने में. IAEA teams regularly inspect nuclear facilities all over the world to ensure that civilian reactors are not being used for any military purpose. So it played a very significant role you can say in terms of nuclear energy and other resources. Coming to the next and very important you can say Amnesty International. Like you are having the courts, human rights courts, so Amnesty International also like that human rights courts. Human rights, in case of any human rights violation, it's the responsibility of the Amnesty International to look after. Amnesty, an NGO to campaign for the protection of human rights across the world. Like in India, also through Amnesty International, you are having UNHRC, United Nations, under United Nations Human Nations, you can say Human Rights Commission. Under that, in India also you are having NHRC, National Human Rights Commission. So under UNHRC, which comes under Amnesty International also sometimes, and across the world, it looks after human rights. It prepares and publishes the report of the human rights to research and advocate human rights. Governments are not always happy with these reports, since a major focus on amnesty is misconduct of government authority in terms of violation of human rights. So Human Rights Watch, another international NGO involved in research and advocacy of human rights. The largest international human rights organizations in the US, it drawn, right? The largest international human rights organization in the US, it draws the global media attentions to the human rights abuses across the world. It helped in building international coalitions like the campaign to ban landmines, to stop the use of child soldier, or to establish the International Criminal Court. Apart from that, few other organizations you can say which is very important, which I wanted to discuss. Just a minute. Out of which the international labor organizations, ILO, which was formed at the time of the League of Nations, right? Which formed at the time of the League of Nations. So a few organizations which formed at the time of the League of Nations also worked under United Nations organizations. So the international labor organizations formulate policies and programs to improve the working conditions and employment opportunity, and defines international labor standards as guidelines for the government. The next organization can be the Food and Agriculture Organizations of UN, FAO. This is very important, you can say, in order to remove poverty and in order to provide the basic standard of living. In order to provide food, because under the basic standard of living, nutrition of the food also the first priority. So through FAO, they try to provide foods, nutritious food for the standard of living across the world. Work to raise the level of nutrition and the standard of living, to improve agriculture productivity and food security, and to better the conditions of the rural population. The next and the important one, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, that's known as UNESCO, which looks after education, scientific tempers, and the culture of each and every countries. In terms of culture, can be in a different way, can be explained in a different way. It can be frictious, or it can be, you can say, in concrete form. Promotes education for all, cultural development, protection of the world, natural and cultural heritage. Heritage can be, you can say, in a different form. Your cultural, suppose your festivals also heritage, or you can say the monuments also can be an heritage. That's why the heritage can be classified under tangible heritage and intangible heritage. So UNESCO also looks after the heritage sites also, right? Across the world, all the heritage sites are being looked after also by UNESCO. That's why that's known as UNESCO heritage sites. In India, you are having so many UNESCO heritage sites. Next one is the International Civil Aviation Organizations, right? Then the Universal Postal Union and the International Telecommunications Union. These are three other organizations also. What they do? The International Civil Aviation Organizations, ICAO, so sets international standard necessary for safety, security, efficiency and regularity of the air transport, and serves as the medium for cooperations in all area of civil aviations. You know about the international flight, right? You are having the domestic flights. Similarly, you are also having the international flight. For the international aviation, you can say this particular organization played very important role, and they formulated basic rules and regulations so that all the flights across the world can be flown. The Universal Postal Union, known as UPU, established international regulation for the organizations and improvement of postal services, provides technical assistance and promote cooperations in the postal matters. And the next one is the International Telecommunications Union. You can make ISD or all those internet and all the facility, that's because of this International Telecommunications Union. Foster the international cooperations for the improvement and the use of telecommunications of all kinds, coordinate usage of radio, TV frequencies, promote safety measures and conduct research in this particular field. A few more organizations you can say, so you are having more than 30 organizations, but you cannot discuss all, and it's not important also. Only a few important organizations I am discussing. The World Meteorological Organizations, the World Intellectual Property Organization, the International Fund and Agricultural Development, even International Development Organization. So what these organizations they do? The World Meteorological Organizations, WMO, promotes scientific research on the atmosphere and on climate change, and facilitates the global exchange of meteorological data and information. All the information related to the meteorology, weather change, weather forecasting, it's always being given by these particular organizations across the world. The World Intellectual Property Organizations, it promotes our patent, trademarks, copyrights, industrial design, These are all the important aspects. You can say it's played very important role in terms of the research and development. So the World Intellectual Property Organizations, which looks after copyrights, trademarks, industrial designs and patent. Next, the International Fund and Agricultural Development IFAD mobilizes financial resources for better food productions and nutrition among the poor and basically for the developing and underdeveloped nation. The UN Industrial Development Organizations UNITO promotes the industrial advancement of developing countries through technological assistance, advisory services and training. Right? So this is all about the agencies of United Nations organizations. There are so many agencies. Only I discuss about 10 or 12 agencies, you can say. Apart from that, another agency is which is very important, that's known as United Nations Development Program, UNDP, United Nations Development Program, which also played very important role. And the basic objective of UNDP, you already read in your previous classes, you can see, or in class 10th and other classes, about HDI, Human Development Index. So UNDP usually you can say focus on literacy, life expectancy, like the living standard, educations, life expectancy, that's comes under the health, and income, that is per capita income. On the basis of that, it categorized the world, all the country of the world, in terms of HDI ranks, Human Development Index being created, in which all those countries being categorized under these three criteria: education, health and standard of living. That's we talks about PCI, per capita income of the particular country. So these are all about the different agencies. So dear students, already we discussed a lot in terms of United Nations, its origin, its evolution, then what were the name of the organizations before United Nations organization, then the objectives, then the goal, the millennium goal, right? At the same time, we discuss in details about the organs of United Nations organizations and the agencies of United Nations organizations. It means more or less we discuss in details about so many things about United Nations organizations. Now, the very important aspects that we are going to talk about in United Nations organization. See, if you can see the role of the United Nations organization since its inception, 1900 post 1945 post सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के सिनेरियो के हिसाब से अगर देखते हैं तो इट प्लेड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल टिल डेट, राइट. यूनाइटेड नेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैज कंप्लीटेड 75 years of its existence, and 75 years में बहुत ups and downs वर्ल्ड में हुआ है, and at least it amicably settled down most of the problems. But still United Nations organizations में बहुत सारे अभी भी inheritance defect है. Still it is being controlled by the 5 major countries of the world. Still most of the agencies being regulated or the controlled by those 5 or 6 economically the most developed country of the world. So these are all the inheritance defects कि आगे जाके कैसे सुधारा जाए. And ऐसा नहीं है कि United Nations organization नहीं सुधारा है. Whatever that's why I told, like the League of Nations, why I failed, because the constitution or the charter of the League of Nations was very rigid. It was not flexible at all. But the constitution or the charter of United Nations organization is very flexible. As per the need of the hour, those charters, or you can say those things, are modified or amendment being done across the year, and so many things being done. It means the most important thing that it can be any of the country, any of the organizations can be done, or its changes in the two way: reforms and counter reforms. So United Nations organization itself made lots of reforms as per the need of the hour, so that इसके existence, the very existence of the United Nations organizations जिस purpose से बनाया गया आज भी वो है, and it has its own importance and the significance across the world. Still, a few things in this particular chapter that we are going to discuss, that United Nations organizations, what the role that United Nations organizations they played during the time of the Cold War and the post-Cold War scenario. That's very important to discuss. During the time of the Cold War, if you maybe ask me, sir, Cold War के time में तो बहुत सारे लड़ाई हुआ है, maybe between these two powerful power block, USA and USSR, लेकिन United Nations organization तो कुछ नहीं किया. During this particular time, the world was being bipolarized. And yes, United Nations organizations का जो भी power है, it was इतना exercise नहीं कर पा रहा था, because ये दोनों के बीच में फंसते जा रहे थे. But in spite of that, it always try to promote peaceful coexistence across the world. अगर यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कोई किसी कंट्री के ऊपर किसी के ऊपर कोई सैंक्शन इम्पोज करता है, then that is to be followed at any circumstances, and it did it. But initially that particular time which I was talking about during 1945 to 1990 के बीच में, during the Cold War era, it was directly or indirectly being controlled by these two powerful nations. And because of the bipolar world and fighting between these two countries, कहीं ना कहीं यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के द बेसिक ऑब्जेक्टिव्स एंड बाकी चीज़ में कहीं ना कहीं प्रॉब्लम आया था. But in the post-Cold War scenario, the scenario is little bit different. You can take the world today in terms of either unipolarized world. This is our own perception. चाहे उसको आप unipolarized world ले लो, it means only one powerful nation, that's USA. लेकिन ऐसा तो है नहीं. So many countries are there that become the powerful nation. France is a powerful country. United Kingdom is a powerful country. Russia is a powerful country. India is a powerful country. North Korea is a powerful country. China itself is a powerful country. Japan, powerful country, right? South Africa, Brazil. So like that, countless number of countries. Israel, very smallest country, but it's a powerful nation. Saudi Arabia, like that, so many countries you can find out. Those are the very powerful nations today. So that either you can take the world in terms of unipolar world or a multipolar world. So today's the existence of United Nations organizations can be feasible because so many even changes being made. ऐसा नहीं कि United Nations organization में कोई rectifications, modification नहीं हुआ है. Lots of modifications, amendments being done by United Nations organizations also. So a few things that you are going to discuss. Right, the reforms of the UN after the Cold War. Reform and improvements are always a fundamental principles for any of the organizations which you know. किसी भी organization, किसी भी country के लिए reforms is a very essential part. मैंने बोला ना कि rigidity, कोई भी चीज़ अगर rigid होगा तो टूट जाएगा. अगर वो flexible होगा तो will continue forever. Because as per the need हमें अपने आप को change करना पड़ता है. That's otherwise known as accommodation. अगर हम अपने आप को accommodate नहीं कर सकते हैं present situation के साथ, then हम survive नहीं कर सकते हैं. That's otherwise known as survival for the fittest. Only the survival is possible for any of the organization or the country or any living organism is only possible if you can accommodate with the changing scenario. तो जैसे जैसे scenario change होते जा रहा है, दुनिया में change होते जा रहा है, उसके साथ साथ अपने आप को adaptability करना पड़ेगा. हम आपको adapt करना पड़ेगा. So UN did it. Reforms and improvement are fundamentals to any organization to stop the needs of the changing environment. So the UN is no exception. In the recent year, there has been demands for reforms of the world body. However, there is a little clarity and consensus on the nature of these reforms. So the two basic kinds of reforms face the United Nations Organization. If you can talk about the United Nations Organization में क्या reforms किए होंगे? Two basic kinds of reforms that United Nations Organization faced or talks about. The first one is the reform of organizational structure and process. This is very important. ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर क्या है? उनके पास 6 ऑर्गन्स हैं. हर 6 ऑर्गन्स का काम करने का अपना तरीका है. हर ऑर्गन्स में कुछ रिजर्व्स, अथॉरिटी एंड पावर्स होता है. एजेंसीज है, एजेंसी में रिजर्व, अथॉरिटी एंड पावर होगा. स्ट्रक्चर्स के वेरी सिंपल, गिविंग वेरी सिंपल एग्जांपल दैट फॉर लास्ट few decades that entire world was talking about expansion of the permanent membership in the Security Council. That's come under the structure. The structure of UN Security Council. What is the structure of UN Security Council? 15 members, 5 members are permanent and 10 members are non-permanent. Now India is also one of the non-permanent members of UN Security Council. These 5 permanent members, they are permanent in nature, right, from 1945, abhi bhi. Those non-permanent members or the temporary members, once elected, they can serve for 2 years. So now, what the entire world they are asking for, 1945 में 5 परमानेंट मेंबर थे, बिकॉज उस टाइम हो सकता है कि वही पावरफुल नेशन हुआ करते थे, बट द सिनेरियो हैज चेंज नाउ. इफ यू कैन टेक एग्जांपल लाइक योर इंडिया, वी आर द 5th or the 6th, you can say, largest in terms of the GDP, second largest in terms of population, and so on. So many things you did across the year for the world. So why not India can claim for the permanent membership? So what the basic reforms that United Nations Organization has to do, and they faced with reforms of organizational structure and process, उसका जो काम करने का process बदलेगा. And the second one is a review of the issue that fall within the jurisdictions of the organizations. So दो चीज करना है, right? 2 things that we are going to discuss. in terms of the reforms. पहला, structural organizational reforms of the organizational structures and the processes. And the second one, we are supposed to talk about the jurisdictions of the organization. और organization का preview में कौन कौन आएंगे, क्या क्या चीज़ें हैं जो कि यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर आता है. Almost everyone is agree both the aspect of the reforms are necessary. Almost all the countries. What they cannot agree on is precisely what is to be done. Everyone agreed that yes, ये reforms तो चाहिए, लेकिन इस reforms को करना क्या है? What is to be done? These are the big the questions being laid down. Three big questions. What is to be done? क्या करना है? How is to be done? अगर क्या करना है पता चलो कैसे करना है उसको. And when is to be done? When it is to be done. और कब करना है? क्या करना है? कैसे करना है? And कब करना है? These three. That's what, how, and when. It's still haunting the entire world. One of the reform structures and process, the biggest discussion has been on the functioning of the Security Council, which I was talking about. Related to this has been the demand for an increase in the United Nations Security Council permanent member and non-permanent membership. And that's exactly the reality, because the time we are talking on 1945 and today's the situation has changed across the world. So you need to expand, you can say, or give the extension for the permanent and non-permanent members of the Security Council. In particular, there are proposals to increase membership from Asia, Africa and South America. Because if you can see that out of 5 permanent members, 1 is North American, 3 European and 1 Asian. So that the representation in South Africa is nil, the representation in South America is nil, and in terms of its huge continent, Asia is a huge continent, but only 1 representation. So that's a poorly represented. Whereas Europe, small continent and better represented. That's why you are demanding for at least 1 representation from South America, maybe Brazil, the most powerful nation. Then 1 maybe from Africa, maybe South Africa, and from Asia a few, maybe India, India, Japan and other countries. Beyond this, the US and the other Western countries want improvements in US budgetary procedure and its administrations also. On the issue to be given greater priority or to be brought with the jurisdiction of UN, some countries and experts want the organizations to play a greater and more effective role in peace and security mission, while the other want its role to be confined to development and humanitarian work. Means there is still the perceptional differences, you can say. If you think that यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ग्रेटर इंपॉर्टेंस दे सिर्फ वर्ल्ड पीस के ऊपर, पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी के ऊपर, राइट. Whereas other camp you can say they think about नहीं world peace and the other aspects, it's the role of all this country they are supposed to play, but at least United Nations organization must work for development and humanitarian work. What those humanitarian work? United Nations, because जो world peace तो हम कर लेंगे, but talking about you can say the present problem like you can say the coronavirus. Such type of issues is not confined to a particular boundary, not confined to a domestic boundary, because this virus spread across the world and killing millions of people every day. So such type of issues need to be very strictly addressed by United Nations organization. And my dear students, every day you might have come across with the news, the World Health Organization WHO is playing very important role regarding this. So health, education, environment, population control, human rights, gender and social justice. These are the area that United Nations organizations are supposed to work little more, right? Already it's 29-30 minutes. So I have started, you can say, the reforms of United Nations organizations. I've just given the introductions of the what reforms that we wanted for United Nations organizations. In the next class, I'll be completing the reforms in the 2 aspects. We talk about the structural reforms on the process, and even का jurisdiction क्या होगा. These are the 2 reforms that we talks about. So in the next class, I'll be completing these 2 reforms. What could be the structural reforms, and बाकी in terms of the jurisdictions में UN का कैसे reforms किया जा सकता है. Till then, stay safe, stay at your home, stay safe, and please read every day, because hardly you will be going for the physical classroom. So please make the notes and all those things, all those necessary things. for your board preparations. Thank you.